Logan Pierce stood waist-deep in floodwater. She screamed. He didn't flinch. I remember thinking, no way he just stood there like that. Her finger jabbed inches from his face. The storm howled behind her. Shingles tore from rooftops. Still, he didn't move. Just one paper in his hand, wrinkled, wet, held like a verdict. She wanted a fight. He gave her the quiet, and in that quiet, something shifted. He looked past her, not at her rage, but at the riverbank, at the dam, at the mistake she didn't see coming. The deed stayed in his hand. So did the plan. Most folks forgot what this place was before the fences, before the signs, before the meetings with catered coffee and laminated bylaws. Logan didn't. He remembered every turn of that stream, every shift in the stone wall when the soil got too wet. He didn't need permits to know where the water would go. Years back, they had sent him to Jordan, to the Zarga Basin, built control channels through clay so fine it cracked if you breathed wrong. The government called him calm under pressure. That wasn't quite it. Logan just knew when not to move. He'd watch rivers the way others read people. And this land, this ragged piece of Texas hill country, was the only thing he didn't read, because it read him first. It wasn't his, it was his grandfather's. A man who never raised his voice, never wore boots with clean soles. A man who could tell you the rainfall just by how the cicadas fell quiet. The last time Logan saw him, it was raining, hard, and the old man had unfolded the water deed by lantern light, then stepped 4 inches to the left, to avoid a current no one else even saw. That night, stuck. Not the storm, not the map, the step. So, when they built the HOA clubhouse on that very slope, when they paved over the runoff lines with smooth stone and fancy names, Logan didn't protest. He just opened the same drawer, pulled the same deed, ran his fingers across the embossed seal, worn but not broken. He folded it, once, twice, again, until it fit perfectly into the chest pocket of his work shirt. Not to store it, to keep it close. He never said a word in those meetings, didn't argue about fences or noise or grass height, because none of that mattered, not when the storm was already named, not when the soil had already shifted, not when the quiet had already begun. He wasn't the loudest in the room, but he built rooms that could hold floods. The knock never came, just the gate creaking open, uninvited. She walked like she'd done it before, mid-50s, red fleece vest, clipboard tight to her chest. Didn't look at the dog, didn't look at the mud, just found the edge of the stone wall and stood like it was hers. "Mr. Pierce," she called, like reading a name from a list. He didn't answer. She didn't wait. "We're conducting standard assessments for the HOA. There's been some concern about your private dam, structural interference, potential floodplain redirection." Her voice didn't rise, didn't fall. It was rehearsed, meant to sound reasonable, like a policy, not a person. She handed him a form. White paper, 2 pages, legal margins, nothing aggressive, nothing illegal, except one line, at the bottom, in gray text, half a font smaller than the rest. Failure to comply may result in HOA-backed forfeiture review. His eyes landed on the elevation number, 132 feet. He didn't blink. He'd built water gates in the Wadi Rum Basin, where the drop was 5 times that. She assumed he didn't understand. He assumed she wouldn't last 10 minutes in a real flood. He stepped back, half a step, and closed the gate. Not hard, just final. That's when she did it. Reached into her tote bag, pulled out a single red stake, and drove it into the dirt, right along the ridgeline. Standard protocol, she smiled, for preliminary surveying. But Logan knew that stake. Everyone who worked land knew. It wasn't a marker, it was a challenge. 14 days. Don't dispute it, you lose the line. She waved on her way out. The kind of wave people give when they already think they've won. Behind the fence, a neighbor slowed his walk, saw the red plastic, paused, then looked away. He'd seen it before. Logan stood still, didn't touch the stake, didn't call out. He just looked at the place where the soil had sunk a half-inch deeper than last season, and at the sky, already darker than it should have been. She didn't knock, she planted, and smiled like the land already had her name on it. Maybe you've seen that kind of stake before too. Not red plastic, but the kind that's driven in quiet. I've been there, watching someone cross a line and wondering if anyone else even noticed. If stories like this feel familiar, you're welcome to stay. Subscribe for the next move. The next email came quiet, polite. Subject line, community safety. Update, stream survey, scheduled. Karen's message sounded like concern. Due to recent climate conditions, we'll be diverting a section of the creek for soil assessment. 10 days, temporary only. Thanks for your patience. Attached was a map, clean, color-coded, except the southwest corner was gone. No label, no plot number, just a soft fade into green, where the Pierce Dam had stood for 3 generations. At Tuesday's HOA meeting, she stood near the projector, calm, smiling, clipboard in hand like always. She said, "Mr. Pierce didn't respond to our request, so we'll proceed with the assumption of consent." No one questioned her, not right away. Logan didn't sit. He leaned against the back wall, one foot crossed over the other, hands loose, a leather notebook in his grip. He didn't raise it, didn't speak, just flipped to one page. Elevation markers from 1978, handwritten. Then his eyes drifted, past Karen, up to the wall clock, 7:43 p.m. That was all, except one voice from 2 rows up. A man in a denim jacket leaned sideways. "You're not going to say anything?" Logan adjusted the notebook. For just a second, a corner of the page showed Section 4.12, Unauthorized Diversion Violations. Silence is not consent. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Meanwhile, Karen walked back to the table. She rolled up the new survey map. The old one, the one with full land rights labeled, stayed in her other hand, folded, then torn. That wasn't part of the agenda, but it was caught by a 15-year-old, camera on, filming a vlog about crazy neighbor drama. Didn't even know what he had. Yet. Outside, Logan walked to his truck, didn't start it, just opened the glove compartment, pulled out a typed sheet. Weather projection, September 12th. Rainfall expected, 7.6 inches. Spillway capacity, 8.1. He folded it slow, put it beside the notebook, checked the rearview mirror once, and waited. She thought he was passive. She thought no answer meant no threat. But every silence was recorded. Every ignored boundary, logged. Every overstep, time-stamped. Trap 1 was set, not with confrontation, but with the calm of someone who knew the law was already on his side. She took the land off the map. He didn't flinch. He just checked the weather report. They called it a community inspection. Karen called it transparent governance. Just a few tables, some folding chairs, 3 HOA board members, a handful of residents, and one phone on a tripod going live to the group chat. She stood center, smiling too much, wearing red, like always. A stack of documents in her hand and that voice that never really asked, only informed. "We haven't excluded Mr. Pierce," she said. "We just haven't seen professional engagement. But this is from June, if I remember correctly." She held up a printout, high, like a trophy, a map, old, slightly faded, and just beneath the curve of the streamline, a name, Pierce Foundation, Water Survey, 1956. Barely visible, but visible enough. The room didn't move, except the live stream. Someone zoomed in, you could hear a chair creak. 4 minutes later, Logan walked in. No clipboard, no speech, just a plastic box. Clear, locked. He didn't sit, didn't greet. He just placed the box on the table, clicked the lid, opened it like a file cabinet from memory. 3 maps, top, hand-drawn, yellowed, initialed in fountain pen, middle, color-coded draft, stamped HOA preliminary only. Bottom, the same map Karen was holding, down to the corner fold. He didn't speak, just slid the bottom one forward, let it align with hers. The watermark blinked under fluorescent light, a quiet hum in the live stream. Then came the voice. HOA Treasurer George Lang. "Linda, that's got Pierce Foundation on it, bottom right." Karen blinked, laughed, too fast. "Must be a scan error. These get passed around, you know. Logan tapped the map. Once. A sound like a gavel. No emotion, no glare, just correction, then silence. He didn't stay. Didn't wait for an answer. Turned, walked out. But the camera caught it. Behind Karen, tacked to the privacy fence, an old HOA event flyer from 1989, blown up for nostalgia, and on it, above the logo, sponsored by Robert Pierce, Water Conservancy Chair. It wasn't part of the plan, but it was perfect. The comments on the stream lit up. That's the same name on the map. Wait, is she holding his document? She just lied? On camera? George looked down, didn't speak again. The red in Karen's jacket looked sharper under the sun, but she was sweating now. She smiled. He pointed. The watermark answered. 3 days after the HOA meeting, a letter hit every mailbox. Bold red header. Immediate action required. Unsafe structure on community streambed. It wasn't addressed to Logan. It was addressed to resident parcel 14C. Legalese, detached, cold. They called the spillway unauthorized, claimed it redirected water, posed a clear and present danger, demanded full removal within 48 hours, or HOA would intervene on behalf of neighborhood safety. Karen appeared on Channel 9, local, polished, calm, smiling again. We've given Mr. Pierce every chance to cooperate. We're not here to punish, we're here to protect. She didn't mention that the spillway had been there since 1961, or that Logan had filed its blueprints. 2 weeks before the notice. Logan said nothing, didn't post, didn't protest. But at 10:41 a.m., the neighborhood's new weather station posted something strange. Barometric drop, sudden, sharp. By noon, the flood monitors lit up, not from Logan's land, from the Forest Ridge, the forgotten angle behind Karen's development. Someone tagged Logan in an old post. June 12th. If this spillway is removed without geological analysis, expect 35-degree deviation in flashwater flow. West Ridge impact likely. LP. The post had one like back then. It had over 200 shares now. At 2:18 p.m., the HOA team arrived with bolt cutters. A few curious residents stood behind the cones. Logan stood off to the side, arms crossed, no clipboard, no warning. A younger HOA member, maybe 22, maybe 23, leaned toward him. "You're not gonna stop them?" Logan didn't blink. He opened a folder, pulled one page. Emergency Spill Protocol, 1978, signed Robert J. Pierce. The cutters sparked, the gate gave, the concrete moaned, and then the wind changed. Not a breeze, a pull. 2 vortexes formed past the tree line, not on Logan's land, on hers. The water didn't rise, it tilted, shifted, slammed sideways into the western curb. Karen's backyard cameras, the same ones used for community watch, caught it all. The white fence cracked, the porch lights burst. The wind sucked 2 patio chairs straight into the vortex. Someone screamed. A child pointed at the tree line. "Mom, the sky's spinning." An older man, former HOA, silent for months, whispered, "That thing, that spillway, it was holding the pressure back." A single frame from a driveway cam went viral that night. A wooden stake, thin as a broom handle, marked with faded ink. Pierce Water Boundary, 1923. It wobbled, then snapped clean. History had been holding it together, and now it had spoken. They broke it. He warned them. Now the water speaks. Morning came with a gray sky. No sirens, no interviews, just the sound of wet gravel under boots. Logan walked alone, back to the stone wall. Same place, same silence. He carried nothing but a weathered wooden plank, faded letters across the grain. Pierce Irrigation Spillway, since 1923. One corner was split. Moss still clung to the edges. He didn't sand it, didn't repaint, just brushed the mud off with his sleeve, lifted it, hung it back. On the same bolts, same holes, same wall. The wood creaked, held. No one clapped, no one needed to. A few houses down, people were clearing debris. Quiet, focused. A boy in a yellow raincoat pointed toward Logan. "Mom, what's that sign?" His mother looked once, didn't raise her voice. It means someone was right a long time ago. She didn't say more. She didn't need to. The air still smelled like river and pine sap. Far across the bank, the remnants of Karen's patio furniture were tangled in a tree. Her house stood, but the fence was gone. Nobody mentioned her name. That part was over. Logan didn't linger. He stepped back, eyes on the sign. It hung slightly crooked. One nail bent, the other sunk too deep. But it stayed, and that was enough. He turned, walked past a soaked lawn chair, past the old cinder block marker now half submerged in runoff. Didn't stop, didn't look back. A dog trotted past, shook off water, paused, looked up at the board, then kept moving. No music, no big finish. Just the board, still wet, still standing. He didn't rebuild it for them. He rebuilt it so no one would forget. The sign didn't shine. It just stayed there. No ribbon, no crowd. Just the weight of something returned to where it had always belonged. People passed it for weeks. Most didn't stop, but some did. Older folks, quiet ones. The kind who've seen how noise often wins the moment. But silence wins the war. They'd glance once, then again. Like they remembered a story their father told, or a mistake they'd almost let happen. The wood was warped, the bolts rusted, but that made it real. You can repaint a lie, but the truth fades slower. Some said he never raised his voice. Others said he never needed to, because sometimes the loudest stand comes from someone who knows where the water used to go, and who refuses to move just because others forgot. Not every boundary needs to be drawn with force. Some only need to be remembered, at the right time, by the right person.